Welcome to Online English class. This is level 1, lesson number 7, which starts on April 29th. This is part 2, so this is video number 2. In this video, we're going to review units 1 to unit 3, and we're going to practice unit 7 with units 1 to 3. So unit 1, unit 2, and unit 3. You are probably watching this video between April 29th and May 13th. This video was filmed on April 25th. Okay, so let's start all the way at the beginning of the book. I'm on page 4 right now. So, in Unit 7, we learned how to use the question, how many? How many? We use how many for things we can count, and how much for things we can't count. Okay, so how much? When we talk about the word time, we say, how much time does it take? How much? But if we have a unit of time, so a unit of time, an example of a unit of time is second, minute, hour, day, week, month, year. These are units of time. When we have units of time, we use how many. So when we have the word time, we say how much time. But when we have a unit of time, we say how many. How many seconds? How many minutes? How many hours? How many days? How many weeks? How many months? How many years? So let's start with how many days are there in a week? Remember, when we ask a question, we always talk about many. So we say how many days are there when we ask a question. We always use are there in a question. How many days are there in a week? There are 7 days. There are 7 days in a week. Okay, so what are the days again? So we have the days here. We have the weekdays, which are Monday to Friday, and we have the weekends, which are Sunday and Saturday. Saturday and Sunday, these are the weekend days. The weekend is on Saturday and Sunday. The weekday is from Monday to Friday. So, how many weekdays are there? How many weekdays? There are 5 weekdays. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are the weekdays. How many days are in a weekend? How many days are in a weekend? Saturday and Sunday. There are 2 days in a weekend. Okay, months. How many months are in a year? How many months are in a year? There are 12 months in a year. Days. How many days are there in a year? There are 365 days in a year. There are 365 days in a year. So, the question, when did you come to the US? When did you come to the United States? I want to know how many years ago? How many years ago? When did you come to the United States? Well, let's see. I came in 2001. Okay, so I came in 2001. So that was 19 years ago. How many years ago was it for you? When did you come to the United States? Tell me what year, and tell me how many years ago. Alright, so now I'm on Unit 1, Lesson B. In Unit 1, Lesson B, we're going to talk about possessives. We're going to talk about possessives now. So what are possessives? Possessive means you have something, and we're talking about the thing you have. So, we have I becomes my, you becomes your, he is his, she, her, we, our, they, their. These are possessives. They are for ownership. For to have. So, let's say I have a marker. I have a marker. This marker. I have a marker. This is my marker. I have a marker. I have a marker. This is my marker. This is my marker. It's green. Okay? So, if we use you, we say you have a marker. This is your marker. He has a marker. He has a marker. This is his marker. He has a marker. This is his marker. He, his. He has a marker. This is his marker. Okay, so I lost my marker. There it is, okay. So, let's use this with how many and how much. So, let's write the sentence. He has milk. He has milk. This is his milk. He has milk. And if we want to talk about the milk, we say, for he, we say his. This is his milk. Okay? So, milk. Can we count milk? No, we cannot count milk. So we say, how much milk does he have? He has milk. This is his milk. How much milk does he have? So let's say he has a lot of milk. let's say his milk is in a bottle. All of his milk is in a bottle. Okay, so because a bottle is a container, the bottle is a container, so we can count the bottles. So we can ask, how many bottles? Here we say how much because we're talking about milk, and we cannot count milk. But here we say how many because we're talking about bottles. And we can count bottles. And here we have the letter S because when we ask the question how many, we always ask about a lot. So we say how many bottles does he have? Or we can say how many bottles are there? Let's just say how many bottles does he have? How many bottles does he have? So let's say he has 1 bottle, 2 bottles, and 3 bottles. But, so, let's say this bottle is full. It's full of milk. There's a lot of milk in here. This bottle is full. But this bottle only has half. So we can say he has 3 bottles of milk, but that's not true because this one is not, it's not full. So let's say he has 2.5 bottles of milk. Here, we're saying he has 2.5 bottles of milk. I know he has 3 bottles, but this bottle is only half full. This bottle is half full, so we're going to say it's a half bottle. He has 2.5 bottles of milk. 1, 2.5. He has 2.5 bottles of milk. So now I want to talk about his milk bottles. So we say his milk bottles are in the fridge. Okay? In this sentence I wrote, his milk bottles are in the fridge. So, let's talk about bottles and the word are. We are using the word are here because we're talking about bottles. We're talking about 2.5 bottles. This is more than 1. See, there's an S here. So we're talking about bottles. So we're using are. His milk bottles are in the fridge. They're in the refrigerator. Now, I'm using the word he. I'm using the word his here because I'm talking about milk bottles. So another way to write this sentence is the milk bottles are in the fridge. The milk bottles are in the fridge. Okay? The milk bottles are in the fridge. But here I'm saying his because I want to say that these milk bottles belong to him. He has milk. Not me, not you, he. And for he, we use his. So we say his milk bottles are in the fridge. Not my milk bottles. My milk bottles are, I don't know, in the kitchen, not in the fridge. But his milk bottles are in the fridge. So now, let's say someone new comes into the house and they want to drink milk. So they ask, is there milk? Is there milk? Here, I'm saying is there because I'm talking about milk. And the word milk we cannot count. So we have to say is there. Or I can ask, are there bottles of milk? Here, I'm asking, are there bottles of milk? So in this question, I'm asking about bottles of milk. Bottles of milk, we can count. We can count 1 bottle, 2 bottles, 3 bottles. So we have to say, are there? Here, the word milk, we cannot count. So we say, is there? Is there milk? Are there bottles of milk? It's the same question. So let's answer, is there milk? Yes. He has some milk. We're saying some because this is a yes answer. So we can say he has milk. He has some milk. Here, are there bottles of milk? Again, we can say yes. He has some bottles of milk. Or instead of some, we can say how many. Yes, he has 3 bottles of milk. So we use the word some when we don't want to say the number. So maybe we don't know the number, or maybe we just don't want to say the number. So we can say some. Yes, he has some bottles of milk. Yes, he has 3 bottles of milk. These answers are the same, but this answer has more information. This answer tells you how many. This answer, it just tells you he has some. We don't know how many, but he has some. I forgot to press record, so you didn't hear anything I just said for the past 10 minutes. Okay, so this is Sarah's house. This house belongs to Sarah. Sarah is she. Okay? But if we want to talk about Sarah's house, we say her. Remember, when we're talking about ownership, when we talk about to have, I, my. I have a house. This is my house. You have a house. This is your house. He has a house. This is his house. She has a house. This is her house. So Sarah is a she. And if we want to talk about Sarah's house, we say her house. This is her house. This is her house. Let's say I want sugar. I want sugar. So I'm at her house and I want sugar. So I ask, is there sugar in her house? Is there sugar in her house? I'm using is there because sugar, I don't count. I don't count sugar. I can't count 1 sugar, 2 sugar, 3 sugars. So I say, is there sugar in her house? So the answer is yes or no because the question uses is. So the answer is yes or no. So let's say yes. Yes, there is some sugar in her house. We're talking about Sarah's house, so we say her house. So this is yes, so we say some. Yes, there is some sugar in her house. If we talk about no, if we say no, we say no, there isn't any sugar in her house. Yes is some, no is any. So let's say yes, there is some sugar in her house. I need to know how much. I'm saying how much because I'm talking about sugar. Sugar, I don't count, so I say how much. How much sugar is in her house? How much sugar is in her house? Her house. How much sugar is in her house? So let's say there is a lot. There is a lot. How much sugar is in her house? There is a lot. Sarah has a lot of sugar in her house. So let's say Sarah has 1, 2, 3, 4 bags of sugar. So there's 4 bags of sugars. There's 4 bags of sugar. Bag of sugar. A bag is a container. And with a container, we can count containers. So we say, how many? How many bags of sugar are in her house? When we ask a question about how many, we always ask a lot. So we say, how many bags of sugar are there? Even if we know there's only 1, we always ask, how many bags of sugar are there in her house? That's how we ask a question. We use are for how many. How many are when we ask a question? So how many bags of sugar are in her house? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 bags of sugar in her house. Here we say there are because there's 4 bags of sugar. When there is more than 1, we say there are. There are 4 bags of sugar in her house.